Hey everyone, hope your day is going well. It's all nice and regulated because things that were normal in the 1960s are illegal today. We got to fix this regulation and, invent some new regulation to fix the other regulation. That's how it goes, I guess. That's how it goes. More rules. That's what I like.
In the late
Yeah, I like that
1960s,
guitar.
life was pretty much unregulated. The rules were just different
Hey,
back then, and we wouldn't have it any other way. But the things that seemed completely normal have
seems so
over time
nice.
become outlawed. So let's take a look back at all the things we did back in
Hey,
1968 that are
look at this
now
one. He is a boss. He is now illegal. What? Oh, yeah,
illegal.
that. Hey, yo, he's living a life. He's living a life.
Back in 1968, turning 18 meant you could vote, get drafted, and in most states, walk
Oh,
into a
that's not
bar
so
and
good.
order a drink. It certainly wasn't unusual to see high school seniors celebrating their birthday with a legal beer. In some places, even younger teens could drink beer or wine legally, while hard liquor required you to be 21. Drunk driving
Hmm.
laws weren't strictly enforced, and as long as you could walk a straight line, most officers
Oh.
let you off with a warning. It wasn't
Oh yeah, yeah. That driving thing. That's good that they put that in place. Here in Belgium, we still don't have zero tolerance. It's not great because there's still room for debate. Oh, it's like 0.05 something. Like just take it to zero, man. Don't do it. It's easier that way to if you stop somebody. Drinking is done. But we do. I think you can drink 16 beer and 18 for spirits here. It's ingrained in our culture. Beer and stuff. Um, do not try to take away Belgians' beer. they're gonna get upset. They're gonna get upset.
until the 1980s that the legal age was raised to 21, mostly because the federal government threatened to cut highway funding for states that didn't comply.
Really, I didn't know that.
If you grew up in the 1960s or 1970s, you probably rode in the back of a pickup truck at least once. Whether you were
Oh,
driving home from a baseball game or just cruising down the highway with the wind in your face,
that
it
looks
was a
fun,
part of normal life. No one
but I
worried
get
about
it.
seatbelts, so the truck bed was often full of kids. Today, most states have banned the practice, especially at speeds over 25 miles per hour. But for those who remember, it was just another great thing to love about the 1960s.
Yeah, it's fun, and if you never had an accident, it's fine. But of course, I get it. Why you shouldn't do it? To put rules in place for it, it's always a tough thing. When are you gonna put in a law? When are you gonna, you know, try to just inform people don't do it? But you know how that goes. We won't listen. Uh, but yeah, it is fun just to freewheel. When you turn 16 here, you can't drive a car here, but you can drive like a scooter or a little motorbike. And in the beginning, I was 16. You didn't have to wear a helmet. It was only like 1 year later for that type of scooter you had to wear a helmet. But it was such a pain in the ass for a 17-year-old to suddenly wear a helmet when you were used to not wearing a helmet. Of course, I realized, if you fall on your head on, 50 kilometers an hour, it's probably over. But still, it was fun, just driving in your shirt, short pants, no helmet. It's fun. I get it, though. Yeah, I get it.
It might sound unbelievable now, but in 1968, it wasn't strange for a high school student to bring a rifle to school. In more rural areas, hunting was a way of life, and plenty of teenagers kept shotguns in their trucks so they could go
Wow.
straight to the woods after class. Some schools
Oh,
even had
yeah.
rifle clubs, where students practiced marksmanship under a teacher's supervision. A gun rack in a truck window wasn't a reason to panic. SWAT teams were never called, and teachers didn't think twice about it. Times have certainly changed, but back then, it was just another part of growing up.
Yeah. We don't have that kind of gun
Recollection
culture
Road is proud to partner with Legacy Box. If you do it.
in Belgium, in
In
Europe. I don't think.
1968, even small
Oh,
adventurous help you do it.
and like it's we do have the beer culture. Not the same, but people do get it is divisive sometimes. When they talk regulation, not as much as talking about guns, but just a mini version of that.
In 1968, chemistry sets weren't just educational,
Hey,
they were
that's
also
fun.
adventurous. Kids could mix real
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
chemicals, creating explosions, toxic
Woo!
fumes, and even small fires right in their bedrooms. Many sets included potassium nitrate for
Love
making
it.
gunpowder, and even
man.
uranium ore for testing radiation.
Whoa!
Mercury was also a common ingredient, and plenty of kids played with the liquid metal, rolling it around in their
Wow.
hands without a second thought. Parents saw
Dang.
these kits as a way to inspire future scientists, but
Hey.
over time, the risk of burns or poisoning became too great, so the dangerous chemicals were removed completely, and with that, their popularity faded.
Boo.
Fireworks today are tame
Oh.
compared to what kids had in the 1960s. Cherry bombs, M80s, and silver salutes were basically mini explosives that could take out a mailbox or blow a hole in a trash can. It wasn't just about lighting them, it was about the challenge of getting away before the blast. Some kids even used them for fishing, tossing them in the water to stun fish. Parents warned about losing fingers, but that didn't stop kids from lighting another fuse.
Yep.
Eventually, the government banned these high-powered fireworks, but anyone who grew up with them remembers the sheer thrill and occasional terror of setting them off.
Yep. Oh man, we used to do that. Oh, but again, I'm so lucky and fortunate that there are people that I know that I got into accidents and stuff. Very fortunate that I always skated by for some reason and survived. Yeah.
Believe it or
man.
not, there was a time when cracking open a beer while driving wasn't illegal in many states. Some people kept a cooler in the passenger seat for long road trips, and drive-through liquor stores were a common sight. Police didn't pull drivers over unless they were
Drive-through liquor
obviously
stores.
drunk, and as long as you could handle your vehicle, having an open container wasn't a big deal. It wasn't until the 1980s that attitudes changed. Today, even holding a beer behind the wheel will get you in serious trouble, but back then,
If
it
it's
wasn't
open, right?
unusual. Kids in the 60s and 70s had some
What is
wild
that?
toys, and one of the strangest was Whammo's super elastic bubble plastic. It came in a tube, and you'd squeeze out a blob, stick it on a straw, and blow it into a big,
Whoa,
colorful plastic
never seen
balloon.
that before.
The problem, the stuff was packed with toxic fumes, and you could
Oh.
feel it the second you opened the tube. Some
Really?
kids would get lightheaded from playing with it.
Oh,
Although it was
snap.
fun, most of us knew it probably wasn't safe. So eventually it disappeared from store shelves. But if you ever
It's kicking in. It's kicking in. You sure she blowing? Yo. Yeah. Well, we all want some poisonous fumes from time to time, but maybe not the kids.
played with it, you'll never forget that strong chemical smell.
Really? I've never seen those.
Before the modern movie rating system, films in 1968 had far fewer restrictions on content, and what audiences saw often depended on the theater's discretion. Hollywood still followed the remnants of the old Hays Code, but by the late 1960s, filmmakers were pushing boundaries with violence, language, and adult themes. Movies like Bonnie and Clyde and The Wild Bunch
Hell
shocked
yeah.
viewers with their graphic shootouts, while Rosemary's Baby delivered psychological horror that
Oh,
would have been
classic.
unthinkable a decade earlier. Without clear ratings, parents had no real way of knowing if a film was suitable for kids, and many young audiences ended up watching movies that would easily be rated R today.
Man, I used to, again, growing up in Belgium, I watched everything. My father gave his love for film to me, but then later on, when my parents split up, we go with my mom. She don't know anything about American cinema. She doesn't know what I'm watching. I was watching this stuff. Oh man, I watched A Clockwork Orange when I was 10 or 11 years old. That was pretty disturbing. But I watched everything, and that's where all my imagination and really my love for writing stories later came from as well. So it all has upsides too, man. It's weird, and I don't really show my daughter all that stuff, so I get it. But man, back in the day, I watched everything, everything. It
Drop
was so
side
much fun.
cribs were once a must have for parents. The design let one side slide down, making it easy to pick up a sleeping baby without waking them. For decades, these cribs were standard in homes, hospitals,
You
and
can't have
daycare
that?
centers. But over time, it became clear they weren't as safe as people thought. The sliding mechanism could fail, leading to dangerous
Oh,
gaps where babies got trapped. After multiple
oh,
tragic
oh, oh.
accidents, they were finally banned in 2011.
I don't know if they're banned over here.
If you were a kid in the 60s, you probably remember mosquito trucks rolling through your neighborhoods, spraying thick clouds of DDT. And if you were like
Some would say, some conspiracy theories. I forgot my my tinfoil hat. I would say silver paper. That's how we say it in Dutch. Zilverpapier. Forgot my tinfoil hat. But some would say there's been experiments going on. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't trust them anymore.
most kids, you didn't run
Where's my
away. You
tinfoil
ran
hat?
into the fog, laughing and playing as it filled the air. No one thought
No
about the
way.
long term effects back then, even
No
though the
way,
smell
dude.
alone should have been a warning. It wasn't until scientists linked DDT to cancer that it was finally banned. Today, the idea of kids chasing pesticide trucks seems crazy, but back then, it was
'Cause
just
it is.
another summer night.
Wow.
There was something special about getting a cold soda from a vending machine in the 1960s. The bottles were made of thick glass, and you had to use the built-in opener to pop the cap. If you returned the empty, you got a deposit back, something that encouraged kids to collect bottles to make a little spending money. But glass breaks, and plenty of people learn that the hard way when pulling a heavy glass bottle from the vending machine, making it a liability for soda companies. Over time, vending machines switched completely over to plastic bottles and aluminum cans for safety's sake. But the switch also saved them money because plastic was cheaper to recycle and manufacture.
Companies
Before bright
win again.
orange tips and neon-colored
yeah.
plastic, toy guns looked real, sometimes too real. Cap guns popped like real gunfire, so kids loved to play cops and robbers
Oh,
or
yeah, I had
cowboys
one of
and
those.
Indians in the street, running around with guns that today would send a SWAT team rushing in. But back then, no one batted an eye, and police rarely overreacted. But as times changed and real-life incidents blurred the lines between toys and weapons, realistic toys were heavily restricted. Today, it's hard to imagine a kid casually carrying one into a store, but in the 1960s, it was just another afternoon of play.
Yeah. I guess that's it, man. Hey, there's a lot of things that make sense that are no longer around, like the mosquito cloud over there. And there's some things, it's a shame that it's gone, but it's definitely understandable. Driving your pickup truck. I think in some parts you can still do it, in more rural areas and stuff. You're careful. I've seen people filling them up with water and stuff. Put in the plastic foil or whatever it is, a sail, and then fill it up with water. Hey, we don't really have a lot of pickup trucks on here in Belgium and in Europe. It's not really a thing. The ones that you do see are usually imported from the US, and it's not a lot. But that would be fun to do. Just drive around with in the back with the water on a hot day. Seems like fun, man. But I get it. There's a lot more traffic than there used to be as well. And hey, what things do you miss of this, and what things do you think? All right, it's better that's no longer around. Let me know. Thank you for being here, everybody. Peace.